Olá, amigo internauta, seja bem-vindo ao programa Sinais de Fumaça, que hoje tem a oportunidade, a honra de receber aqui a doutora Maria Gabriele Wosien, falando sobre danças circulares. Gabriele, como que começou o seu estudo, o seu interesse pelas danças circulares e os seus símbolos?
It was born with my research into Russian fairy stories when I was a student. Because I had a professor who had a particular approach analyzing the images of the stories as survivals of religious cult. And I was fascinated, and this began a research into the images as part of religious tradition and as part of modern psychology, modern in the sense of the school of Jung, and modern in the sense of our new awareness of life having a soul structure. Simultaneously to this research, I made a contact with a mystic tradition which comes from the Sufis. It is part of an order who discovered dance as a means of worship. This goes back to the 13th century. They are called Mevlevi, and they refer to the poet that started this movement called Rumi, born in Persia and lived his life in what is now Turkey. And the connection of my research and the experience of being involved in a mystic tradition which showed me a way of inner experience using the body was for me a fantastic discovery. At the same time, my father, who I shall talk about later, had developed through his contact with a Catholic monk, priest, meditation as a way of contacting the God within. He was a pious person, but not in the sense of church, but it was for him a very wonderful contact with this person, this monk. But he always said, they just sit and meditate. That's no good for me. So he discovered for himself meditation in movement, using his vocabulary of dance. I'm nearly finished, but I want to make the connection now. The experience of meditation in movement for me was to discover a circular way of travel. You turn around yourself, which means a spiral movement within the body, using a spiral movement of the body itself. Circle and spiral were in a way wedded together. At the same time, you learned to travel in space, circling. So now this for me was an amazing experience. Based on the understanding of the poet that everything turns around a center, this is a cosmic law from the infinite small to the infinite big. This is like a window opening into a new world, a super discovery. At the same time, I finished my thesis, and this was like everything came together. And I taught my father this movement, and he said, as a teacher of dance, as somebody who's danced all his life, he had never encountered anything so hard. It was hard work for him, although he'd done everything else. He acknowledged that this is a particular way of having to be concentrated, stable in the center, yet moving around.
E hoje aqui no Brasil é o Dia dos Pais, você citou o seu pai. Fala um pouco sobre esse bailarino Bernard Wosien, coreógrafo, fala um pouco sobre ele para os nossos amigos internautas também saberem quem é essa figura tão importante também relacionado às danças.
Towards the end of his professional dancing life, as I indicated, he discovered meditation, which was in a way a new import into our European culture, coming from the East, from Far East. And he always felt that the sedentary way of praying and sitting, not moving, is not something for us Europeans, who are active people, who should have meditation in their actions. So for him, it was no good. He said, no, I have to do something. So what he used the vocabulary of his dance experience, walking slowly, moving in a particular way, but in a disciplined way. And he discovered that the circular movement, which he got inspired by the teaching of this mystic Sufi tradition, he could connect and said, yes, they are by themselves, but we are in Europe in a group connecting, and he based his understanding on folklore, on the tradition. We should hold hands and be connected as a group. So circle dance, folklore, ritual dance, which is kind of the predecessor of what we call just circle dance, which has no ritual context anymore, for him was an ideal field of exploration, using, however, his professional understanding of movement and precision and space and time and religious structures and symbolic forms. Influence was the contact with Findhorn, which happened in the mid-70s. In Findhorn, there was an openness to receive somebody who was teaching exactly what he did. His name had already spread a bit. Peter Caddy and his wife and Sir George Trevelyan, they had met my father, my parents, in a meeting at Pentecoste. I was there as well. And he said, well, why don't you come to this community which we started in the north of Scotland and help us to be a community which is celebrating dance as not as a religion, but as a spiritual fact. And this is how Findhorn got involved. And my father said, that I'm so glad that people are open to this. They are not professional, they are not critical, they don't analyze, they are welcoming. Aren't I lucky? He loved being there because he was taken as he was. He didn't have to be somebody. He was who he was, and it worked well. They received him with open arms. That was a big influence, which he then retransported back into the continental Europe to his students there.
E você falou sobre esse trabalho que o Bernard começou a desenvolver com Campo Fértil lá, enfim, não? E como que você se envolve então nesse movimento das danças circulares? Como é que surgiu então esse envolvimento da Gabriele dentro do movimento das danças circulares?
Now, I never thought I would do something my parents suggested. I did eventually understand the motivation of the father towards the end of his life to find something permanent. The stage is not permanent. Your contribution to art may be permanent if you've managed to reach a certain level. And his students, he was very popular with his students, encouraged him, because there was a feeling at the time that, okay, materialism, we've achieved, but somehow something is lacking. We are lacking quality to our lives, we're lacking spiritual values. Now he was capable of combining a physical movement with a spiritual content. It was his personality which was capable of uniting form and content, which is not always the case. When I discovered, through the contact with Finton and through having done my own journey, finishing my thesis, having been to India, getting very involved in India, but rediscovering the father wasn't so stupid after all. It was quite okay. I felt very honored that he said, listen, why don't you do this? And I said, listen, I haven't practiced. I really am not capable. I mean, I was present, I took part, but I've never contemplated of being active. And something slowly changed my mind. And I said, okay, I will try with his help. So slowly I began to collect dances, collect ideas, collect movements, and linking it to my own background, of research and of experience. It takes a few years and suddenly you feel, yes, maybe I'm beginning to be ready, but one is never ready, as you know. It's a process, and it's not always progress. You have setbacks and you have doubts, and you wish you've never started. And but you get encouragement of friends who said, listen, this was okay, we love it, and come back, and so I thought, okay. So slowly, it takes time to grow. You know, it's like a plant which needs some water, needs some sun, then comes a hailstorm and destroys the plant half, so you have to go back to the roots. It's a living experience with all aspects of growth. Took some years. Meanwhile, I continued to publish something and so on and so forth. Because I need to always meditate, go back inside before I go outside again. So the writing is like a digestive process.
Atualmente a gente tem encontrado, principalmente aqui no Brasil, grandes movimentos ligados ao sagrado feminino, a essa conexão com a deusa. Dentro das danças circulares, existe também essa conexão com a deusa? Como que é as danças dentro dessa conexão com a visão de mundo mais do sagrado feminino?
Now, the so-called circle dances we have to think of them as something very ancient. If you look at all the different civilizations, representations of dance in art, or even descriptions which are rare because people didn't use to write, they put images to convey their history, you realize that the understanding of life as being circular, that means it has a beginning, a middle and an end, but not an end, but a new beginning. So life, again, as I said before, is a cycle which repeats in nature. It repeats in a day, in a year, from the seed to the plant to the fruit to the new seed, and so on and so forth. So now, people who live close to nature, they will evolve a form in order to describe this law, and the circle is the most perfect symbol to describe this process, which is timeless. So you could say that the circle as a image, you look at all the cultures you like, it's always been there. Now one assumes that in our human history, matriarchy was probably the oldest social form. In other words, you propose that there is a maternal quality which is of the origin. The paternal relations are much more recent. There seems to be now a kind of recognition of this fact. Research shows this. Many people do research into this subject, and apparently it's not only of interest, it's also inspiring. Maybe because women today take a different role, they have a chance to take part in social life, they have their own life if they want to. This is very new in history. So I think to make this big jump back to the civilization origin to today is quite interesting. It's a meaningful inquiry, but it's not the whole story. We have to see that ritual life encompasses everything that is part of life, from birth to death, and again the seasons and all the processes of life can be encompassed in a circular model. No? It's a global awareness. Every nation, every people has it. That they put at the center a goddess as the creatrix of the world is a recent realization. It's like you come back to something which one hadn't been allowed to look at or to say, and it's like a discovery. All these things happened since Jung, I would say, since the end of the Second World War, more or less.
Qual a importância do círculo nas danças circulares?
The circle, of course, you can say is a feminine symbol, a maternal symbol. So probably, we don't know, but we can assume that circular forms of movement were discovered by saying Mother Earth and Mother Life and Mother Universe, they are cyclical. They are a cycle and they can be represented symbolically by a circle. Now, the human being always wants to be like the God he or she worships. So if you worship God as the goddess as a cycle, then you will go along this path and follow this, what you understand her, the goddess, to be, which is a circle. And along this circle, as a mandala of space, you will put your movements and your feet and your arms and your poetry and your songs, your music. If you have a scale, da 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 da, it's a cycle. Now you can use this music to describe I'm walking along and I'm walking along and I'm walking along and I'm coming back and I'm coming back, I'm going round, I'm going in and out and I'm going up and down. Infinite possibility of using this space of the circle. It's a sacred space because if you say that's the goddess, you will behave with devotion and respect in relation to this space which you've perceived to be representative of everything.
A gente falou sobre o sagrado feminino e muitas vezes fala sobre a deusa tríplice. Como você correlaciona a deusa tríplice com a nossa vida cotidiana, mesmo algumas vezes vivendo em cidades como grandes metrópoles? Como que correlaciona então a deusa tríplice e seus aspectos arquétipos mitológicos com o nosso cotidiano?
Ele acordou muito tarde naquele domingo, com o sol bem alto sobre a montanha. Então, se apressou a colocar seu cinto brilhante, que iluminou o mundo com um brilho intenso. Somente quando os pássaros se agitaram, ele acordou e montou imediatamente em seu cavalo ligeiro, galopando para a igreja em grande velocidade. Sim, era Olaf Åstesson, que estava adormecido há muito tempo. O padre, com todas suas insígnias, estava no altar, cantando com grande erudição a longa litania, enquanto Olaf se sentou à porta, contando a história de seu sonho maravilhoso. Muitos ouviram a história de Olaf, pessoas jovens e idosas. Enquanto o cinto brilhante que Olaf usava tanto impressionou o padre que ele se esqueceu de ler e cantar. Sim, era Olaf Ostersson, que estava adormecido há muito tempo.
Well, it is obviously not a conscious everyday fact, but I think it is a fact of life. The old civilizations looked at the moon, the crescent moon, they said that's the virgin goddess. The full moon, they felt, was woman in her maximum maternity, and the waning moon, who became then the dark moon, they felt was like the woman losing power or gaining a different aspect by projecting a shadow. The light was hidden. They said that's like wisdom, because wisdom doesn't scream in the marketplace. It's more to do with old age, going back in and being the resume of your life would be an understanding which you kept inside but which you could show. So the old civilizations had an image for this. We have probably not, it's not so easy for us to see in youth or in middle life or in old age life this clear division of quality, because our people of 60 behave like 15, painting and their faces and wanting to be always young. This is a problem of our time, that age is not something valued as something acquired through hard work and a life of experience. So I think for us it's not so easy to make this distinction, because our life is not so structured as it used to be in civilizations that didn't change. They had always the same pattern. But I think we can orientate ourselves along this understanding and just maybe accompany our children if we have this understanding, help our children to grow in this way, try, because society will not help. It will maybe even give an opposition, but it is a wonderful model, also a more sane model. It's not artificial, it is following the law of life, the young, the middle-aged and the older person, with specific properties pertaining. Yes, it's a good question. Actually, all the three phases, people in previous civilizations, they said that's really one. They belong together. You can't separate them. But according to age, yes, you can differentiate. And it might be a help to have this model every time you are crossing a threshold into a new phase of your life. It's nice to have a prototype to assist you. This is what could be helpful.
Dos temas difícil, né? É exatamente essa última fase, ou essa fase que para nós humanos temos uma certa dificuldade em lidar, que é a morte. Mas antes disso a gente tem aqueles processos humanos onde mexe com a gente. É o processo de crise. Na sua visão, em relação até às danças, qual a importância da crise para o desenvolvimento humano? A crise pessoal.
Considering the circle, if you put people in a circle on the rim, they have identical relationship to the center. They are all equal. We have the chance of every moment where we make a step for this to be a turning point. We can turn round, make a circle. We are related to each other in a identical fashion as one body. Now, if I have a crisis, of course, every day, several, then if I use this mandala, I would call it a mandala because this is a current term nowadays, that is an image of perfection, of a model which is always valid. If I relate my problem to this timeless reality, my problem in relation to timelessness and the whole is so infinitesimal small that I'm beginning to understand. I make one step and it will be totally changed. I make a step to the center and I change my direction. I respect the center. I will be in a new quality. I will receive a new quality by this understanding that this particular thing that is happening to me, and it is a crisis, is so relative that it will not destroy me. The model of the circle, with the many rays that come out from the center, and I'm at the end of this ray like a fruit of this tree which is turning. If I remember to focus on this model, I think it's a great help. I find it a help. We are nowadays stuck with personal situations. We've lost the contact to an overall picture, but it's coming back. I think people are really beginning to understand, looking for values which are permanent, looking for models which are instructive in the sense that they open my very small personal horizon. This is, wherever I go, I find people working in this way. Maybe I'm lucky I meet people, because through my work I meet people who are at least trying, who are beginning to understand that something must change somehow. So you're looking for, you can call them methods, but they are really collected experience over millions of years even. Humanity is old. And we have all this information in us. It's fantastic. But we don't make the contact. We go walkabouts in strange places and we lose ourselves. So all these methods or the techniques of various religious practices suggest silence, concentrate, attention, and then start, try again. The fact that we are doing these dances in a group, like a chorus, they are called choir dances in Greek, choros, because it goes back to the Greek tradition of being an echo to the drama of the gods in the center, in their mythology. It gives us as individuals who today are so lost because everybody does their own thing alone and feels weak by being alone. If we come together as a group with the same intention, at the same time, with the same theme, with the same journey we make, because the patterns are prescribed, this is a fantastic power. If we understand it correctly, it empowers us to make contact with the center within, because you can say that the circle center has an echo in the center of my being. And if I really understand this and try and be aware of this, together with others, it's more than that we cannot hope to achieve. It is a service. It is to me a service, but it is a service to the force of life even. They are waiting for us to wake up. They, whoever they are, the powers that be. We think we are the be-all and end-all. No. We are little creatures, a bit dim, thinking we are very important. No. We've got a job to do here. And this is good to know what the hell, excuse me, sorry, what we are meant to be doing. It takes time to discover. It may take a lifetime. But once, aspects of this have been discovered, life changes. It's a change of quality. It's not quantity, not more of something, but intensity, more presence, more contact, more of something else. Anyway, it's not tangible, but it's certainly so, I think. Now, I find that working with people over a weekend, if we manage to touch the essential subject as a quality which we want to share, then there's a feeling of friendship and harmony, and you can even call it love. It is no problem. The other person is not a disturbing factor, On the contrary, it's like a mirror of your own longing or searching, or, you recognize the sameness, not the otherness. This is wonderful. And it is because, they say, the poets put it nicely, the soul is one. And when we make a ripple in the water, it's like the ocean and a little bubble, which then again gets quiet and flows with the ocean. That these images, I think, are helpful to pacify our turbulences. It's really about being together, not apart. And that dance is a fantastic medium, I've discovered by teaching for some years.
Para o nosso amigo internauta que está talvez conhecendo o assunto danças circulares através desse programa, o programa Sinais de Fumaça, que recomendações você daria a essas pessoas que estão iniciando nesse caminho, nessas danças circulares?
E ele reuniu todos os seus discípulos e disse:
Antes que me entreguem a eles, vamos entoar um hino ao Pai e depois ir ao encontro do que nos espera.
Então ele pediu para que formassem um círculo de mãos dadas. E ele ficou em pé no centro e disse:
Sigam a minha dança e vejam-se em mim ao falar. E quando tiverem visto o que faço, guardem silêncio sobre meus mistérios. Respondam amém para mim.
E ele começou a cantar um hino que dizia:
Glória a ti, ó Pai. Glória a ti, ó Logos. Glória a ti, ó graça. Amém. Glória a ti, ó Espírito. Glória a ti, ó Santo. Glória à vossa glória. Amém. Nós o louvamos, ó Pai. Nós lhe demos graças, ó luz, onde a escuridão não habita. Amém. E porque damos graças, eu vos digo: serei salvo e salvarei. Amém. Eu serei livre e libertarei. Amém. Eu serei ferido e ferirei. Amém. Eu serei gerado e darei a luz. Amém.
Come and join us.
Gabriele, você tem toda uma história de vida, tem vários livros publicados, inclusive aqui no Brasil. Continua sempre na ativa em relação às danças circulares e esses processos de desenvolvimento da consciência, filosófico também e comportamental. O que é que te faz feliz?
What makes me happy is the recurrent experience of being one with everything. That division is an illusion. We live in this illusion our daily lives. Although we communicate globally, we are still sitting alone in front of our computer. Being together with people with the same intention and, as I said, the same way and the same theme. It is when you touch together a moment of unity. And of course there are moments only, but they are very precious, and this generates happiness and contentment, and thank you very much. The experience of being bound together in an invisible way in a cosmic program, which is what it is. You have a center which is not present, but present. It is present in the structure of the architecture and in the way the progression of the movement is conceived. You have to stabilize yourself centrally. You open your arms like a bird flying. You are sustained by this rope, It gives a balance to the arms and to the balance of the body. And the fact that you combine movement and total precision of stillness, it is almost impossible to achieve, but it is possible. And it communicates itself. If you manage, if it happens to you that you fall into this deep central part of yourself while you are in intense movement which does not stop when you just feel like it, it's such a discipline to maintain this stillness in movement that communicates itself to whoever watches with the openness of their heart. And it is like that. Stillness in movement. This is where my father, if I may mention him again, understood that meditation for us Europeans is stillness in movement. Let us try this while we need to be active, while our life is like that. So maybe this is what you feel. I don't know, but I can say from having many years practiced this, that turning, that was almost like a drug to me. You know, I couldn't be without it. Then life changed for me and I didn't participate. And I still survived. And today I don't really need it. I mean, I could do it. It doesn't urge me. And I feel it's so much inside that I don't have to perform it. It's still there. It's very interesting. I think ballerinas who have been doing amazing things on the stage or trained to have their body under total control. I've seen Galina Ulanova, I think I mentioned this to you, who was a star #1 in the Bolshoi Ballet in Moscow. When I saw her, she was a little inconspicuous lady, almost nondescript. On the stage, she was a divinity. Now what happens? What is the transformation? She was doing Cinderella, Prokofiev, not battement very high, doesn't matter. She appeared and it was just the presence of somebody having realized through a life of hard work an internal presence which you could feel just by her appearing. So in other words, I think our life teaches us through going through so many journeys and so many movements and so many jobs and what experiences, that basically everything is already here. And you've collected, now you can do this in so many ways, but it's the answer to the problem we all have, all the time. And it can be achieved in so many ways, and you can get there a little faster having practiced. And you, being connected in this way, whatever happens, you say, okay. And it's orientated. You see, the axis is still, and the thing is fast, but the axis is, that's the combination of stillness and intense movement is almost, you can hardly bear it, but you have to. It's this intensity which then makes you explode, you go over the bounds, a boundary of and then you relax. You have to go through this seeming impossibility,
Já estamos chegando aqui ao final do programa Sinais de Fumaça, que teve a oportunidade, a honra aqui de receber a doutora Maria Gabriele Wosien. Nós vamos pedir, já agradecendo a Maria Gabriele Wosien pela participação, pedir para ela deixar a sua mensagem final para os nossos amigos internautas que estão acompanhando aí o programa.
Well, you who are watching this program, I don't know what you expected, but whatever comes your way that touches you deeply, where you feel a connection with your heart, your soul, take it and follow that impulse and share it with your friends. It may be dance, it may be music, it may be any form of art, anything that encourages us to be together in the same spirit will help us in this crazy world of ours. We need some structure to guide, some theme to enlighten us, some music to lift us, some idea to bring us forward, as it were. Forward in the sense that we may feel encouraged to follow, give us orientation. And the dance together in a chorus, in a group, dancing, being together in a circle, in the sense of a devotional practice, I recommend. Wishing you good luck.
Deus te protege e te mantém. Deus faz sua face brilhar sobre ti e é bondoso para contigo. Deus ergue seu semblante sobre ti e te dá a paz.